Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are doing well. No, I have not ghosted everyone and gone away. I had some different stuff going on, obviously, in outside life, but also have been grinding away at the game. And we hit World's Finest. We came in at number 42, which was pretty sweet. Quickly got knocked out after I stopped playing because people are grinding away, and it's really awesome. I actually played against Erlite during the run, which was a lot of fun. And it's cool to get to know more people from the community who are just putting a ton of time and effort into the game. So that's been really, really fun. And today I really just want to go over what the climb was like, what I would recommend, whether it's decks, particular builds, just kind of what decks I've been seeing and what I was adjusting to, just to give you guys a little bit of an insight on, maybe some strategies that can shift and sort of help you all out. And thank you, as always, for helping me out with the subscriptions and the likes and all the good stuff. Really appreciate it, and look forward to making much more content for the game in the coming weeks, especially with ranked live on the beta and all the different changes every week. It's just been so exciting around DC Dual Force. So I'm really looking forward to everything we've got to come. We're just going to really kind of talk about some of the decks and the matchups that I saw, what I would recommend, and, just to kind of put this discussion, in context. I do not have a full collection. I've only, got, this is a bug, by the way, 14 out of 19. I do not have these cards. I'm not really sure why it shows that now. But for Origins, I've definitely opened quite a few packs, winning, and you get the ranked rewards, which is awesome. I love just getting the rewards as you're climbing up the ranks. It really helps kind of incentivize to keep pushing, not in a toxic way, but just to towards these mini goals that you can hit. So we don't have a full collection. We're definitely missing quite a few ultimates that are, I would say, pretty important, and not having any of the mini sets obviously affects kind of what decks we can play. I'm basically just waiting on atomization, when we're able to craft cards. I'm really looking forward to that. I fingers crossed we'll get that this month. I don't know if maybe that's a little too ambitious, but I'm really hoping we do. So I say that to kind of put this in context that you may not really need that many cards to get there. I think some people have felt like there's one go-to deck. Some folks have played stuff like, Doomsday Flash here. That doesn't require a lot of rare cards and is still just pretty efficient and you can climb with. My sneaking suspicion is you can climb with many decks. It's just what is most efficient and what is most consistent. After trying quite a few of these decks, I tried, Aquaman Ivy. I tried Hal Wonder Woman. Even tried this kind of newer deck with Aquaman and Flash, just as a way to try and play around Ladama, which we'll talk a little bit about today because it's a card that's really, really influencing the format. But I think the two decks that I knew I was probably going to employ would be Doomsday Flash, which has been kind of the new hotness ever since there have been a couple videos that came out. I think Blade did a video on it. Analyze It Gaming may have done one as well. And I like Agent Spacely and some of these other great content creators. And it just hits like a truck. So, but I probably shouldn't just skip over it, even though we're going to spend a little bit more time on a different deck that I felt was really good. I do not have the optimal build, but this is kind of the core, right? You're running certain, cards like Power Surge just can punch for, 10 damage off of Flash when you activate him. Max Mercy got buffed, which is a lot stronger. Man-Bat hits like a truck. Iris can, help you clear. Energy Blast, you've got all these ways of dealing direct damage. Joker Toxin, Lightning Arc. So, it's very clear what you're doing here, right? And you can run Hellblaze at the top, which is just a rare. I've got Reverse Flash. I'm still not sure if that's quite the right card in Shazam. But anyway, you're just smacking your opponent for tons of damage. That's what I called it me hit leader, me big. And I did use this for some of my climb. I just found it to not be consistent enough. And maybe that's just a small sample size. I probably didn't play more than 10 games with the deck, so I can't really say for sure. But it just didn't feel that it was like consistently able to close out games. And that's kind of why I moved off it. But the deck I'm kind of here today to talk about, especially for players who are free to play and maybe don't have a huge collection, um, I just think I don't think you can really go wrong playing Batman with most leaders. Um, and before I even talk about the deck here that I really just came to rely on and love and just feel is an excellent deck. Um, Analyze It Gaming did a deck tech, or I think a video on like something like 70+% win rate on Ivy Batman. I saw that deck probably 1 in every 3 games. I played against it last night easily 10 or 15 times. It is all over the ladder, and there's no wonder why, right? Because if you have the Blue Beetle mini set, you get access to Jaime, which is really easy to turn into his full Blue Beetle form with the help of Paco and friends. You get access to Ladama, which is just for you Magic players out there, Plague Wind, right? You just get to kill your opponent's entire board as long as they don't have Aura. And there's no interaction, right? Like as long as your opponent has played 1 Paco during the game and 1 other gold, Ladama's going to do what she's going to do. So you either need to play a control deck that can go over the top of what they're doing, which I think is probably where the meta might go if Ivy Batman really gains so much traction. Or you have to race it. But the thing is, with Batman, you can get access to bandages. And if you can protect Alfred, you'll get more bandages, right? So I don't even feel like aggro has that great of a shot into it. In mid-range, I just felt like it was such a grind. I won a couple games here and there with the Sea Basket here, which I will change to Gotham Harbor because my partner was like, your name is weird and Gotham Harbor is way cooler, which it is. And also they fight over Gotham Harbor, like who is supposed to be protecting it, which I think is really funny in the comics. But I basically was like, wow, I'm seeing a ton of Ivy and Batman. By far, that was the most frequent leader choice that I saw on the ladder throughout all levels of the climb over the last couple of days. And it's just really consistent. It just, you get your units from Ivy, you get access to the best endgame tyranny cards, right? You've got Darkseid, Ladama, Sinestro, Appetite for Hunger. And then Batman just keeps everything going, right? He gets access to those gadgets. He's drawing cards, which also synergizes with Ivy. And you've got the whole like Jaime package. You've got Brenda to draw you those cards to get those golds for Ladama. You're just kind of doing what seems to be like the best kind of stock control deck things that you could do. So if you've got the Blue Beetle set and you've got those leaders, I think go and watch Analyze It Gaming's video on that. I'm not surprised it has a 70% win rate. I just think the deck is really, really consistent and very, very powerful, and there's just not a lot you can do about it. But for those of you who are like me, who do not have the Blue Beetle mini set, maybe waiting to atomize stuff or just don't have the money up front right now, this is the deck I would recommend. So I know it took a while for us to get here, but I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of context to why this deck really, really carried me to World's Finest, like pretty much single-handedly. Had a few games of, had a good streak of like maybe 7 or 8 wins with Christmas Time is Here. Probably went like 55% win rate with Doomsday and Flash. And then a couple, other decks in between. But see, definitely Batman, Aquaman, Gotham Harbor was... I'm just going to actually change this name right now. Was my go-to. So let's talk about why. And I do not have the ideal list. Actually, my partner has better cards than me because I'm missing Catwoman. I'm missing Green Arrow. I'm missing Batman, the Ultimate Batman as well. So let's take a look at a deck that is, in my opinion, sort of suboptimal to what it could be, but it was still so good. And why was that, right? So ever since Wonder Woman got nerfed, I think a lot of people have thought about playing Aquaman and I have been playing Bat Aquaman, and I never look back. I think Wonder Woman is still very viable. Erlight plays like an excellent Batman Wonder Woman deck, so definitely check him out if that's what you're interested in. But for me, I just love playing Aquaman. I just think in a deck that has so many ways to charge your leaders, he's just excellent. And just like you need card advantage. You need ways of, outlasting your opponent and having enough recruits to really push through. And I think Aquaman just does such a great job. And even in my climb, I think I hit maybe one or two seahorses literally the whole 3 or 4 days that I played, and he was still so good. Even though seahorse is like the most busted sea creature you can get, he still just allowed me to pressure in so many ways. And I think just combos so well with Batman, who gives you a ton of value. So, what is our curve like? I've really liked this. I've always loved more of a bronze heavy curve. And then you've got access to a ton of really great silver cards, and then some just solid top end gold closers. And you'll see a couple deck choices here that were definitely meta dependent, but the core I think is kind of self-explanatory. Alfred, I'm still very pleased with. It's a 2/2 that draws you a card, and the upside is if it doesn't die, and there are board states you can create where he doesn't, you're just getting bandage after bandage, which is super relevant when probably the two most frequent decks you're playing against are Doomsday and Flash is one of them, which obviously healing yourself is incredibly important. And then even in the very grindy matchup with Batman Ivy, just be able to heal certain cards definitely helps a lot. Antiope, I just come more up and up on. Just being a 3/3 aura is very annoying to deal with. I actually think it's better than the Minotaur, which is a 3/4, at least in this setup. And when you're able to Antiope and play the Queen, Hippolyta later on, and things like that, you just have this board of like aura, pretty beefy cards, and it just makes it so much harder when certain decks are playing Hellblaze or even Ladama, right, where you can actually play into their sweepers and it's not going to kill them. Arkham Guard was definitely a meta choice. I just felt like I was seeing so many Arkham inmate decks, and also just so many Tyranny decks. And I do think that this deck can fall behind against some aggro strategies. I think it is a mid-range deck. That's what I would call it. So it does beat up on aggro a fair bit. That's kind of what mid-range decks are supposed to do. But I've been pretty happy with Arkham Guard. Probably when I get some ultimate cards, we're going to be changing this out. Like I would play Green Arrow and Catwoman and Heartbeat over 2 Arkham cards. But this card kind of overperformed for me. I just think like a 2/5, and if you can buff it any more, is guard unit does a lot of work for setting up turns where you're going to keep your Alfred alive, or maybe another card that you really need to live. So I was really happy with that. Arrest I've liked as a one-of. It's a really great way to remove a blocker or just as a tempo play in the late game. You probably never want this in your opening hand, and it's just going to be pretty bad if you're not ahead to some degree, or at least on at parity. But this is going to help you close out games, remove an annoying blocker that you just need to get rid of. Utility Belt, always excellent. Steve Trevor, my favorite thing to do with this card is just to grapple it back over and over and over again. It's so annoying. Like the fact that you can just play this and get turbo charges with the grapnel hook, just at times feels unfair. Like sometimes I'm like, okay, is the value actually worth it? And I just think in a metagame, or just like in a game that really rewards you for kind of making your opponents second guess if they should be using their leader abilities, right? Like, oh, there isn't really anything on the board, I'm not going to activate Batman, or there isn't really anything on the board, I'm not going to use Wonder Woman. Being able to just play Steve Trevor and just keep bouncing him back to your hand and replaying and just recharging your Aquaman that's going to scale every single sea creature over the course of the game, and just generate a ton of recruits, seems incredible. This card does so much work for you. Bluebird 2, I still think is an excellent card. Um, that gets you value where you need it. Favor of the Gods, I've been very happy with. Guard really does go a long way against the aggro matchups, and buffing certain cards can be really, really tough for your opponent to deal with. Wildcat, I didn't play with for a while, and then I put it back in, and I've been relatively pleased with it. It still does enough work as a bronze card that I still found it to be decent enough. Crypto does so much work, especially against the burn decks. There are certain board states where you can set up like Crypto shielding your leader and then grapnelling Crypto back and replaying him. So there's what I think, to pause for a second instead of just going card by card, which I hope is helpful for kind of how we arrived at this deck, is that you have so many different lines of play with this deck. Between Grapnel Hook, specifically, I would say like you get so much value out of these little, small bronze units and different things like that, that your opponent like can't really interact with. And I just think that there have been so many games where I've eked out a win because I had access to these very kind of convoluted, but like game winning lines of play. Because you get so many options out of all of the gadgets that Batman provides you, especially with units like Crypto and Steve Trevor. So don't sleep on those cards. I think they are staples in pretty much every Might deck. Now moving on to, that's our bronzes. Throne of Atlantis, I've really liked as a one-of. Sometimes you hit your Seahorse and it's excellent. Sometimes you just need a big, the Humpback Whale to put in play to guard your leader. And sometimes it's awkward where like maybe you don't have any bronzes in your hand, but you're on a silver bronze turn. You can cast Throne of Atlantis, get those 2 bronze units, play a bronze unit. So you're not losing tempo and you're getting a little bit of card advantage. So I've been really happy with just running a one-of. Steel, I still think is a really beefy unit, still going to help you in the mid game and really be able to turn the tide when you're playing against different aggressive strategies. Robin, if I had to, I'd be playing 2. Robin's excellent. If you don't kill him immediately, he just runs away with the game. But I only have 1, sadly. Queen Hippolyta, when you set up those board states where you've got, a sea creature out, you've got maybe one unit, and you just go like another recruit into Hippolyta, it just really puts your enemy pretty far behind. Now, Hammer Throw, at first I was not super high on, but what Might and Tactics specifically do not have access to is unconditional removal. Tyranny's got it. Energy's got these really high burn spells. And Anarchy even has like, the combination of Firepower and Whack-A-Man or things like that. But like Indoctrinate is the card I think about for, yes, you can't hit gold cards with it, but like Indoctrinate that hits literally everything but a gold recruit is excellent. But Hammer Throw pulls its weight, especially when you play with Aquaman. Yes, you might miss and you'll hit the Humpback Whale instead of the Orca guy, but it's really easy to set up turns where like all you need is to keep pushing damage or clear a unit or clear a recruit, and that's what Hammer Throw is going to allow you to do. So I've been really, really pleased with this card. At first glance, you're like, well, it's kind of conditional. Like, am I going to be able to set it up? I think you're able to set it up very consistently in the deck. Commissioner Gordon, wish you were a 2-2, but still good. Obviously, another good grapnel target. Batwing, I had this crazy game against Urlite last night where I was able to get a Batwing up to an 11-10 off of like Bluebird gadgets and Batman gadgets, his own gadgets. It was crazy. I still think Batwing pulls his weight, and you can set up turns where he is a serious threat that they have to deal with. And either way, you're getting a 2-for-1, right? You're going to play a 3-3, you're going to get a gadget, he's going to grow, and it's all going to get buffed also when you play Lucius, which I've just loved playing as a one-of. A new addition to the Silver team, and I was very pleased that I could get this through the comic for free, is Thomas Wayne. I think it's just a great finisher. Even if it's a 6/5 hunter, 7/5 hunter, which is not that hard to do. It's just one of the better silvers that they can't interact with, right, for that first turn, unless they have a hunter unit. that just closes things out. I've been very, very happy playing 2 of Thomas Wayne. Now, one thing to note, and I don't know if it's a bug, but it probably will change in the future. If you grapnel back Thomas Wayne, which is this Batman, you'd be like, oh, maybe I can like reset his hidden, and that would be great. It just stops the card from gaining any bonuses from gadgets being played. Grapnel specifically kind of resets the card, and I get why, because it's like if your card was buffed and you bounce it back to your hand, it doesn't keep the buffs. So basically, Batman, this Thomas Wayne loses his power when you grapple him back. So I would only recommend that if you absolutely have to. And then, speaking of charges, I think one Bat Cycle I've been very, very happy with. Maybe should be playing 2, but I also just think you really want to be pretty heavy on your recruits in this deck. But Bat Cycle, just another way to get charges. And when you're grappling back your Steves, it just feels like you're kind of playing a different game. So what is our gold package? And I think this will also probably change with certain cards that I might get. But I think Mr. Miracle has gone up in value, and Aura and Evade is just a very obnoxious blocker to deal with. You just have to work so much harder to make this thing not a relevant card. So I've been really happy with it as a way to protect your leaders in the late game. Dual Force, I have this card played against me before Ranked was even up in this exact deck, and obviously charging your leader twice when you're playing Aquaman is going to make it so he's able to go off that much more. And sometimes there are board states where you're trying to play around a sweeper or something like that that just kills all the recruits, and you can just charge your leaders, smack with both your leaders, make a new recruit off of Aquaman. So I've been really happy with the one of Dual Force. Batmobile, I used to sleep on this card. This card is an excellent, excellent finisher for Batman specifically, but you can use it on your other leader if you have to. It's not hard for your Batman to hit for 9 to 12 damage when you're casting Batmobile when you activate Batman. And so in the late game, that's going to kill, quite a few leaders. And it's really hard to interact with. The fact that you get permanent Hunter and Evade is nothing to sneeze at. So that means every turn your Batman's able to attack for 3 on their enemy leader. There's nothing they can do about it. And it gets Evade. And Evade is a very, very relevant stat right now because when you've got Doomsday running around and Flash running around, Evade makes them work even harder to close the game out through combat. Superman, no-brainer. This is just like the most powerful might ultimate, gold card. This also shuts off, Joker and Zatanna. It really stops them from closing out the game. It's just such an important card to be running, probably always in might. So nothing really to say here. Now, Wonder Woman, I debated, playing Truth and Justice. I think ever since Truth and Justice got nerfed, I've been less on it, and I've been more on Wonder Woman. And why is that? It kind of does a Truth and Justice impression because it can give +2 to your leader permanently, which is solid, to your might leader, of course. And then obviously it buffs anything around it. But also, what is the key word it has on it? Aura. And it's a 6/6. There have been so many times where I, Might of the Gods or Favor of the Gods into a Wonder Woman, and then it's just a huge guard aura unit that buffs the rest of your board. I just think Wonder Woman pulls her weight and is a great, great card because it's got aura, and it makes it a little bit harder to deal with her, and you get so much value up front over Truth and Justice because it really requires you to have as many recruits on the board, whereas this can buff a leader and another, let's say a sea creature per se, and she's a threat herself. So I really recommend playing her if you've got her. So that is the deck. I'll have the deck code below. I know it's sometimes hard to kind of import it and see it, so I did want to just go individually, card by card, just so people can actually just watch through the video and insert the cards that they want. So, just to close things out, because we've kind of gone through and evaluated all the different cards, I just think that this deck, even though I don't have the best cards for it, it just performs so consistently. It's got a tough matchup into Ivy Batman. I think it's got a tough matchup into some of the other control decks, but it just feels like you can win any game against most decks. Like just with sequencing different gadgets and the value recruits that you have, and some of these really great diverse late game threats, whether it's Superman, Batmobile, Wonder Woman, Dual Force, things like that. You just have so much value out of your leaders, and then you've got all these different value recruits that really synergize very, very well together. And I think someone had said that this leader combination was kind of like the go-to before Wonder Woman, like in the alpha or like early beta, and then people switched on to Wonder Woman. I think ever since Wonder Woman's been nerfed, I really feel like this deck just has more play to it. And I just found like as long as I was doing the right thing with my gadgets, making the right lines of play, and I could make I had so much agency in every game because of the amount of options I had. I think that this deck really, if you've been playing the game for even a little bit, I just think that it goes quite a long way. So I'll say there's no secret. Definitely, this was the deck that got me to World's Finest. I entertained other decks and I tried things here and there, but the deck that consistently, pulled me across the finish line was Gotham Harbor. So I'm really looking forward to playing in the World's Finest rank and trying to rank up. Probably this will be my go-to deck for now, but once Atomization comes around, I'm really excited to try. I think Batman Ivy is super strong. I think Shazam Cyborg is one I'm kind of on the lookout for. I think that's probably one of the top end control decks. Flashpoint, gives so many different control based strategies, a lot of play to them now. And I'm also interested to see if I can make, Doomsday Flash a little bit more consistent. But thanks so much for sticking with me. We'll probably wrap it up there today. I will definitely have some more gameplay videos coming to you, but just wanted to give a bit of a primer on my climb to World's Finest. So until next time, I will catch you guys then. Thanks so much.